Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the last session of the opening days program. This is the second listening session on artist-run music labels. Today we have two labels presenting. The first one will be Ting Shuo Hearsay. Ting Shuo is an organization based in Tainan with sound at the center of its activities. It's founded and run by Alice Hui-Sheng Chang and Nigel Brown. They engage with a diverse community through encouraging participation and encounters with contemporary listening and sound creation practices from around the world. And one of their modes of engaging is also publishing music and sound as well as a label. Ting Shuo will be hosting one of our music programs, which will be from February 21st until March 17th, 2024, with a program called Sound World's Rotation. And then following Ting Shuo Hearsay, I'll also introduce Senko Isha Records, but we'll start with Ting Shuo.
大家好，午安。我是伫台南的空间，这声音的空间。那我们2月会在这边。 我们会在这边10天，那有这10位艺术家会在这边接龙表演。那这10位艺术家会在这边进驻10天，每天会有3个人，那就在这个空间一起探索、一起即兴，然后一起和观众讨论、互动、聆听。那在台南的空间，其实我们也做非常多这样的方式，就是有听也有说，所以 带进音乐家，带进不同的聆听文化，那一起来讨论声音，讨论聆听，然后讨论聆听相关的记忆、相关的连接、相关的想象，还有相关的文化这样子。那这是我们音乐家一个小孩，你好。那我们也做非常多的声音推广，就是从 0岁到乐龄都有，所以有做很多婴幼儿的活动，然后也有做蛮多和障碍者合作的创作计划。好，那我是Hui-Sheng，张Hui-Sheng，刚刚有介绍。然后这是我先生 Nigel Brown， 是澳洲人。那等一下由他介绍我们之前出版过的一些作品。
Hello everyone, thank you to Reem and to Brian and to Freya and to Taipei Art Museum for having us. We're really grateful to be here. Yeah, I want to first just talk briefly about the activities at Ting Shuo, because, I mean, in terms of thinking about Ting Shuo as a, as a label, for us, the kind of publishing side, it's always been in kind of support of the kind of larger or the other activities that are happening at Ting Shuo. It's never been viewed like specifically as a sort of standalone label. Ting Shuo Hearsay is an organization and a space, like you just heard, based down south in Tainan. Our kind of premises is an old house, Toutian, and we have been operating since about 2016. In the first 3 to 4 years of the space, we were heavily focused on performances, concerts, and workshops. This was the kind of ground floor where most of all of that happened in the house. And it also used to be our home on the second floor. That is an example of a performance that was actually an Asia Meeting Festival collaboration with DJ Sniff, who's also involved in the Biennale this year. And here is a sort of example of the workshops. This was Chang DJ Nigel, who's also involved in this year's Biennale, running a workshop around turntablism and breaking and messing with record players, which was a lot of fun. So being based in the south of Taiwan, let's say like away from the probably what you'd say is the center of the experimental scene and activity being in Taipei, we've always considered our activities to be about offering something different for artists and for audiences that they might not experience. So when we invite people to come and work at or with Ting Shuo, it's always with the kind of expectation that we might be asking people to take on something a bit outside of their usual practice or to push into some different kinds of areas to experience something new. That goes for the artists and also for the audience, because largely a lot of the audiences that come to Ting Shuo events might be having like their first or one of their early experiences of experimental music. They're not necessarily people who are extremely familiar with these kinds of approach to sound and music. So we've always tried to foreground, we've tried to make opportunities for different ways of engaging with sound and listening practice. And everything we do revolves around that, whether that's just making a very welcoming environment, kind of like a living room, like a home that people feel kind of comfortable coming into, whether it's running workshops right from no experience required, kind of playing with sound. You know, we also used to run a listening gallery in the studio, which was just a room with a selection of a record label's output and some description, so people could just lie there in their own time and listen and reflect on what they were listening to. And of course, speaking and conversation has always been really central to that as well. So we always foregrounded, musicians spending time with the audience and sharing in as many ways as possible. Okay, which brings me to the publications. So yeah, we don't do physical releases. Everything is always, everything's low budget, and everything is about just putting out the activities that are happening at the studio. So what I want to play for you first today is one of the releases that was the result of an open call that we did in 2019, I'm going to say, pre-COVID times. This was, I guess we identified a kind of need, like we wanted some artists that we'd seen doing really interesting things, within Taiwan, but didn't have necessarily a lot of publications online that people could kind of access. And as musicians ourselves, we've always found that having something that you can point people to when you're wanting to tour, when you're wanting to meet people, is of course really valuable. So we put out an open call for any musicians who thought that would be valuable to them, and we had some sort of stipulations around the open call, I suppose. We wanted improvised music, experimental improvised music, and groups that would come and record mostly at Ting Shuo. And wasn't really about multi-track composing away in the studio and coming up with an album. It was very much like we were experienced in hosting concerts, and we wanted this to be like the next step after that. So it would be come to the studio. It wasn't an audience there, it was a recording session, but to approach it a little bit like a performance. So there were live recordings, which were then, mixed, post-production mixed, but they weren't kind of edited and, mixed in that sense. So let's kind of stop talking and just do some listening for a second. This album is by Hui-Sheng, Taipei-based trio. So I've got a few things I want to play today, and we've got limited time, so I hate to do excerpts, but I'm going to do excerpts because of the releases that we have, there are, like, there's a variety and everything is really different. So it would be a pity to only kind of get a sense of one or two things. So I'm going to do about sort of 3-minute-ish excerpts of each of these pieces. First up, let's have a listen to Hui-Sheng. Thanks for that lovely fade out. Yeah, please revisit any and all of these tracks on the Bandcamp afterwards as well, so that you can experience the full piece. Sorry, I've lost my mouse. This way. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's listen to one more from that same series. It's probably okay. I'll get the music going and then I'll come back to doing the webpage. Here we go. So that piece, WSW and Xiaoliu was also made an appearance here yesterday in Miaogong Junyang's exhibition upstairs, if ever anyone was around then, on saxophone, and paired with WSW on various objects, amplified objects. And that was a really great session recorded, not actually at our studio, but in another really wonderful space, perhaps no longer with us, in Taichung, called Little Play, which was also played a really important role in providing a performance opportunity for artists who were touring in Taiwan to come outside of Taipei. A Little Play was certainly really central in Taichung as well. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to play is not from that series of recordings, but is actually from another Tainan-based artist who, actually maybe Tainan-based artist who has been a close collaborator of ours for a number of years, Li Xingyuan, or as she has her name in Taiwanese. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Li Xingyuan. Yeah, it gets lost on the other screen. You've got to kind of work out which way to go. Yeah. Okay. You gotta close this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Li Xingyuan's approach is much more, she works largely with field recording and also finding objects and making recordings and then multi-track composition over a longer period of time to realize an electroacoustic work. She also comes from more of a visual arts background, comes to sound from a very different perspective. And this work, Listening to Water on the right there, that we're going to jump into, yeah, but we need to cue it up over here to not play off the website. She created over a number of months, perhaps even a number of years, in various cities around the world, looking at water, its uses, its forms, both natural and in our kind of like daily lives and the way we use it. And she made a number of recordings also in Tainan, and we thought it really was a really amazing look at the local, an unheard and unseen aspect of the local landscape. And so that was our next release, and let's have a listen to the beginning of this piece, which I believe was recorded largely in some of the sewage treatment plants around Tainan City. Yeah, Xingyuan works with various different kinds of microphones and pickups to record the vibrations in pipes, for example, as part of this work. And Xingyuan is actually one of the artists who will be joining us here in the music room in February. Is part of an improvising trio. And I forgot to mention, but also the first piece that we listened to from Sansheng, one of the members, Zining, will be one of the musicians here, vocalist, performing as part of the February music room.
好，那我还有启光，等一下都会用中文。Sorry. So yeah, we will both be speaking in Mandarin. If you haven't got an English translation headphones, maybe you need to get one. 我们再来介绍一个，就是我们的疫情期间的出版计划。那这个计划是英国文化协会补助的。那我们邀请了苏格兰的一个机构，是 Women in Sound, Women on Sound。他们专门是推广女性声音艺术的一个组织。那他们过去办了非常多的论坛，然后出版，然后各个连结。那这次我们是在疫情期间邀请了3位台湾的女性作曲家，然后交给 Wiswas。那 Wiswas 那边也是公开甄选。之后呢，配对了3位英国的作曲家。那这3组就是1对1的台湾英国作曲家，他们透过网络交换档案的方式来合作，然后做了远距创作了这个专辑。那这个专辑另外呢，也包括了有一系列的访谈和对话，那这些访谈对话也另外出版在台南的另外一个线上刊物里面，台湾艺文连线的刊物里。然后我们要听的是张欣的和 Elaine 的这个合作，第2个 track。 有写下网站的，就是我们专辑网站是听说点 bandcamp.com， 那我们听说的网站是听说 studio.org 这样子。那我再很快的介绍2个，就是不是专辑出版，但是是影音出版的线上展览。那一个是和缅甸的合作，英文消失，好，没关系。和缅甸的也是疫情期间的交流，那尤其是缅甸军政府刚开始攻击的时候的这个交流。那时候是和缅甸的一个社群叫做 Noise in Yangon 的合作。那我们总共配对了5组音乐家，那也是一样，一位台湾音乐家配一位缅甸音乐家的交流。那两边我们每次是做一个线上即兴，那有的线上即兴他们会有一组他们是会有一个谱曲，那这个谱曲也是一个自由宣言的方式。那另外有一组他们其实是预录的，那其他几组是一个线上的即兴，像是这边那个陈奕仲的这一组，他们是线上即兴，那包括说有很多是艺术家们先彼此做一些连接，做一些交流，然后最后再做一个公开的即兴这样。那在这段期间也陆续发表了一些关于缅甸那时候的状况，那也希望说多帮他们做一些发声。那像这个是一个谱曲的曲子在旁边。那另外一组合作是我们邀请了4位创作者，那到听说台南这边来进驻，那帮他们做一个影片，那我们把它当作是一个肖像影片。那这是肖像影片，每一个艺术家他们有做一个简短的表演，然后一段访谈，然后一段工作坊的形式。那这个工作坊的形式就是有点像是分享他们的创作中，可以带大家在家里自己在家里怎么玩声音的一个分享。那这4位音乐家的影片和刚刚那些影片全部都在网络上，所以欢迎大家就是到听说的网站的计划下面可以看到这些计划，然后这些分享。好，那我们听说就分享到这边，再交给先行一车启光。
大家好。我在9年前的时候开了一间唱片行，叫先行一车。那从那个之后开始在店内或是店外举办一些表演，然后有出版一些专辑这样。那很抱歉，因为我比较懒，所以我今天没有带笔电过来。我昨天有剪了一段大概30分钟的，就是我发行过的音乐。那可是我们刚刚发现时间好像不够，所以可能就是只能放15分钟嘛。对啊，所以等一下可能就是我直接放音乐，然后大家如果有什么问题的话，可以最后再 Q&A 这样。然后我有从店里带了一些 QR code、download code， 等一下我传下去，如果大家有兴趣的话，可以拿一份回去下载。
Does anybody have questions? Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Alice, Nigel, and Chikong for this, really wonderful presentation of the labels that you run and the work that you do. And thank you everyone for coming and joining us for the opening days of Taipei Biennial. As I mentioned before, we have 3 ongoing programs in this, well, not ongoing now, but we have 3 upcoming programs in the music room in December, January, and February. Everything is on the website and I believe social media. So please come back and